guys would be making the monthly mortgage payment, we wouldn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah, 100%. We use a company called Madison Servicing. We pay them, they pay the mortgage company. It's that simple. Typically, when there is a mortgage, we do what's called that subject to transaction. We were just trying to figure out the X's and O's and the numbers behind everything. That was going to be a win-win for everybody. So I have a call recording I want you guys to check out. It's from one of our most recent No Fluff challenges. In the call, we have the all-important three-way call between us, the buyer, the agent that we're working with, and their client. This is the final step in the process of getting a creative deal under contract when it comes to working on market, like a lot of the content you guys see here on the channel. If you want to learn more about the flow and the process, we actually have our direct-to-agent mastery course in the description. You can click there and go download it. But more importantly, listen in on the call, see how I approach talking to the seller and the agent at the same time, how I overcome some of their objections. You're going to hear these things time and time again. So let's hop to the call.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, I'm here.
Good. I have Mr. Mills on the phone as well.
Mr. Mills, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I can't complain one bit. I appreciate you taking some time today and getting us all connected. Brittany, thanks for doing this call.
Oh, no problem.
Well, I guess what I was telling Brittany, I said sometimes it's just easier if we all kind of talk through and figure out if there's something we can do here, especially with these types of transactions, and see, obviously take some time, answer some questions, but most importantly, figuring out what the heck we gonna do, So when Brittany and I were talking, I think it was like, hey, we do understand that there's a mortgage in place, and typically when there is a mortgage, we do what's called that subject to transaction. I think, Brittany was very savvy with like understanding how that works. But most importantly, we were just trying to figure out the X's and O's and the numbers behind everything. That was going to be a win-win for everybody. So, Mr. Mills, I appreciate you taking some time, and I guess this is a good chance for us to kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
Cool. So I guess the main thing was the offer that we put out there was that we would be okay with coming in, stepping in your shoes, and taking over the mortgage at $87,000. I was asking Brittany, I said, well, is he looking to buy something else? Or are you guys going to be moving into something to rent for a period of time? Or I guess what does that kind of look like? Because based on that, we can figure out how we need to structure this thing.
We're moving into a rental.
Okay. Perfect. And with that, we were kind of throwing out some preliminary numbers, thinking like, okay, well, what could we realistically do? Cover all the closing costs. As always, when we do these kind of transactions, I guess some benefits is that we cover closing costs, and it's almost like we're doing a cash transaction in that we're buying it as is. So we're not going to go do any sort of inspections, or I'm not going to have anybody out there crawling on your roof or going in the attic or the basement or crawl space or wherever. We know we're buying it as is, and it looks like it's in great condition. So I don't even think that would be a problem anyways. But still, it's just nice to not have people coming in and out your house. As far as the cash, for it to make sense for you, what kind of numbers were you guys tossing around?
Well, we have it listed at 105. We just recently dropped it down to 99. So, I think we bought it at 90 and a half.
Okay.
Obviously, we've done not anything like structurally as far as updating it, but when we moved in, it didn't have any appliances. It didn't have the storage in the backyard. The yard was pretty overrun. So we've done some things to, clean it up and have it move-in ready.
Sure.
So, and then just with has going up, it seems like, so.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think it's been an interesting time for sure with the interest rates being what they are, and everything's kind of all over the place. But the house itself looks awesome. So I guess my main thing is, if there was a perfect case scenario for you guys, what would that look like? Is that a certain dollar amount you'd like to see in your pocket? Is that like, hey, Matt, if you can make this super easy? Hey, Matt, if you can close rather quickly? Because I definitely know that the end of the month is coming up and another mortgage payment is going to be due on the 1st. So I didn't know kind of what that looks like for you.
We aren't moving until November, so we're ready and willing to close by that time.
That makes sense.
I guess dollar amount, I don't know if we had any solid figure in mind. I know the initial talks from what Brittany said, you're talking about maybe $8,000.
Yes, sir.
As a down payment. So that would, ideally would like a low listing price, 99 at least. So they can make some type of profit. Then obviously have the mortgage payment taken over by you all as well.
For sure. So, like if I was to do a traditional sale, and that makes total sense, I think you guys should get top dollar for the house, 1,000%. So what I'm proposing, even at, let's just say you sold it at 99, and by the time we paid, if I was to have an agent or represent myself and charge a fee for whatever, a buyer's agent, and then by the time you minus out closing costs, and then they're in a traditional transaction, any sort of repairs they may ask, you might just say, kick rocks, I'm selling it as is. But either way, if that end buyer would be asking for any sort sort of repairs. I mean, you take that $99,000 minus about $6K in commission, minus $1,500 in closing maybe, and minus a couple $100 here or there. I mean, I think you'd be walking away with somewhere in the neighborhood of $4,500, something like that. But I'm willing to do $8,000 just because of the way that we have structured the deal, and still help contribute to the agent fees in this case. I think it would be like right around $1,500 that we can contribute on top of the $8,000 and still be able to cover the closing cost. And normally when we look at these types of transactions, we try to stay around 5 to 7%. So if I add up all those numbers together, that'd be closer to 12%. But because of some of the area rents, I think when I was talking to Brittany, we feel like it could rent out for around $850, $900. So by the time I take over the existing mortgage and, pay property management and all that good stuff, I might make $60 or $70 here on this one. But we do this enough where I'm like, okay, I'm fine with that. And sometimes even if I break even, it's like, hey, I'm okay with that as long as because I'm planning on, I'd hold this thing as long as I possibly can. I'm trying to hold 10, 15, 20, 30 years. So I'm able to kind of make the numbers work and maybe pay a little bit more than what other people would be willing to do just because of that. But if I do that, do you think that would work for you guys?
So I got a couple other questions about it myself.
Okay, now we're about to get into the real nuts and bolts of the conversation. We've talked about price. I've kind of given them the premise around why we need to be where we're at and how we're basically overpaying for the property, and a breakdown of the numbers of like, hey, if you sold it traditionally, you were going to get $4,500, but I'm willing to give you that $8,000 so we can start creating a gap of why they believe that there's value in taking an offer like ours. Now they have questions on subject to and creative finance specifically. You're going to hear me kind of address some questions before they even ask, and I think this is the way to really do it, to instill confidence in the person that you're talking to on the other line. I never have anyone say, I need to take this to an attorney, because of how confident we are in the presentation. Let's check it out. Yeah, of course.
With this whole setup, we maintain the mortgage, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, how long would it be before you think that would be paid off? Is it just going to continue on the same path? Like you were looking at another 29 years before it's paid off?
Yeah, so we take the amortization schedule into consideration, right? Some folks are like, Matt, I'd love to be able to buy another house, right? And the cool thing about when we do a transaction like this won't affect your ability to buy another house, especially if you guys are moving into a rental for the next year or so, maybe 6 months. All we have to do is provide the loan officer at that time. We've done this time and time again. All we have to do is show them the escrow information and show them that we're the ones making the payments, and they're able to get this off your DTI. So it won't affect your ability to go get something else in the future. Now, as far as how long I want to hold on to it, well, as long as I possibly can, to be honest with you, right? Because it's the reason why I'd want to buy a house like this is because there's already secured debt in place and I would like to hold it. And it allows me to pay a price that whatever, maybe the market's not willing to pay at this point in time. But again, some people are like, well, Matt, I'd like to at least, it'd be nice to be off the mortgage in 10, 15 years. And okay, well, we can maybe accommodate some sort of balloon at that point. But I think the main thing that normally has folks wondering, it's like, okay, well, if I'm on this mortgage and it's like, am I going to get messages on this? Am I going to have the bank messaging me? And I tell folks all the time, it's like, hey, if I got to fix something around the house, I don't call Bank of America or Wells Fargo or anything like that whenever I got to fix something, right? I got property insurance that handles that. There's provisions inside of the agreement that covers worst case rainy day scenarios. If, someone doesn't make a mortgage payment, or what the heck happens if you guys go in default, right? We have provisions in the agreement that we call it our performance clause, that if at any point in time we mess up and we don't make a payment, we owe you guys money and you can get the property back in 45 days. So no one wants to do that. Normally when people sell us the house this way, you're like, Matt, I don't have to worry about the house anymore, right? I don't want to have to hear about it. It's all done. So we use a third-party servicing company that we pay. So it's not like us paying you and then you paying the mortgage. It's all done through a servicing company, which is basically a mortgage company, and they handle the payment. So there's literally mortgage companies set up for specifically these types of transactions. So we try to cover all of our bases in that regards.
Okay. And so you guys would be making the monthly mortgage payment. We wouldn't have anything to do with that?
Yeah, 100%. We would be making it. We use a company called Madison Servicing. We pay them. They pay the mortgage company. It's that simple. Now, if, like sometimes, I don't know, let's just say Loan Depot or something goes off and they're like, oh, we want to sell some of our debt. There is a whole debt market out there. And sometimes like Loan Depot will sell their debt to Mr. Cooper or something else, right? We would get the information of the debt being moved to some other loan servicer or some other mortgage holder, and then we'd pay them the same. But that's the best part about having a servicing company. We can get all that information and we can change everything on our side just to make sure we keep everything on track.
Okay. And then we still have access to that mortgage like see what's going on.
Oh yeah, 100%. And again, so you obviously have access to your mortgage, right? So there's the online login portal. I'm sure you got, but you also have access to the servicing company, right? There's a seller side and there's a buyer side. So you guys can log in and see all the previous payments. So because I actually have properties I've done this with. I have quite a few here in Arizona and in Texas where that was the case. I sold them. I gave someone else a note and they're making the payments, and I can log in and I can see like, hey, okay, they made the payment, or hey, they already paid this 2 months in advance. I can see everything on my side and I can export the history. Like again, because that's going to be important whenever you guys want to go get another loan and we need to give that to a loan officer. We can go back and we can see the previous 12 payments or the previous 24 payments or whatever, can see it all in one place. And you guys obviously would have access with your own login.
Yeah. And then as far as like any repairs or anything that need to be made, I know that you guys will cover it while you're here, but if it defaults and it reverts back to us and there's like a bunch of damage to the house, who's liable at that point?
Yeah, so we're liable at all times with us owning the property, right? So, I mean, if at any point in time we default and the property gets moved back, we keep these properties in move-in ready condition because we do a variety of different things, right? Sometimes I'll rent them out to traveling nurses, which kind of allows me to get a little bit more than area rent, to be honest with you. I don't do anything crazy with the properties. There's all these strategies nowadays where people rent out rooms and stuff and they trash properties. We don't do that. Sometimes I'll do midterm, sometimes I'll do long-term, but I am responsible for all the repairs. So in the event something happens, I mean, there's a simple insurance claim that can be made because when we do this type of transaction, I'm the insured on the policy, but you stay on as an additional insured. So that way, if anything happens, you can still make that claim.
Okay. And so do we need to maintain our homeowner's insurance?
Nope. We normally replace the insurance policy that's underlying. So what we'll do is at closing, I buy a brand new policy. I pay a year up front, and I get put on as the insured for the policy because you guys don't want to be attached to it. And then what happens is the lender in this case is additional insured, and you're also added as the additional insured with a brand new policy. And at that point in time, all I got to do is call in and say, hey, we got a brand new policy. We cancel the underlying. Sometimes there's payments that were already made, prepaid in, that would get paid out to you guys because if let's just say you've already paid in up to this point this year, and we get a brand new policy, well, you would get that money back from the insurance company, right? So we put a brand new policy in place, and whatever was paid, up to that point would obviously go to you guys.
Okay. And I know you said that you were, planning on holding on to it for as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
But let's say, would you guys have the option to sell the house? All right. Like I know the mortgage holder, but you would be able to sell it.
Oh yeah.
And at that point, it's basically just would that. I guess if you sold it for less than our mortgage is worth, would we be liable for the difference?
No, because we own the house, right? So if the property's underwater, like we have to come to money to close, right? Just as if I had borrowed private money from my parents or something to buy a house, they're not liable to pay the difference. I still have to come to the table with the money if I really want to sell the house.
Okay. I think that's all the questions I have off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, and if you got more, I mean, that's what I told Brittany. Like, this is a team effort, Like, hey, if we're gonna make something like this happen, it's not like, hey, we get a contract, we buy a house, and that's it. We try to say, hey, look, we use this as a resource, and as things pop up, or maybe you have a couple conversations, like, oh yeah, that's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I'm an open book. This number right here is my cell phone. I'll make sure maybe we can do a group text, or Brittany can give it to you, or whatever you guys want to do. But I'm happy to hop back on another phone call or whatever y'all need. We've seen a thing or two. We've done all kinds of transactions. It all functions similarly, but every situation's a little different, right? So we try to make sure we're working together to get to that. We have the same goal. We want to buy a house. You guys want to sell it. So we try to make sure that happens.
Okay.
So I want to ask a question.
Yep.
Just in a contract scenario, say he, ask you guys to send over a offer where there contingencies on your end would basically be like no appraisal, where you guys would be offering $99,000. No inspection period, and I guess close within 45 days.
Yeah, whenever you guys want. I mean, we can close as soon as 21 days, but if we needed to extend it out 45, yeah, whatever works best for you guys. But yeah, same thing. Yeah, no appraisals, no inspections. Now, I might have someone just walk through the house at some point, but I'm not going to do any sort of major inspection. I'm not going to pay $500 for someone to go give me 20,000 things to look at on the house. So no inspections, no appraisals, nothing like that. And yeah, close on your guys' timeline. Sometimes I say hey, I can close in 21 days. And some people are like, I want longer. I'm like, oh, sorry. Yeah, whenever you guys want, So that's up to you guys.
Obviously, you guys are moving in November, so, they need to November.
Yeah, we can time it up perfect. Even if we need to give you guys like a week, right? So we can close a week before you guys move in to the apartment. That way you can take the cash from the sale and use that to do whatever you need to do. Who knows, you know? That way you can basically have post possession for about a week after we close to get everything in line and get stuff moved over to the new place.
Yeah, and as far as if you're gonna send somebody out, I mean, I get to work with Brittany on that. We'll be out of town. Obviously, we don't need to be here for it. So for about a week and a half in the middle of October. But
Nice. Where are you guys going?
Australia.
What? I was not expecting that. That's crazy. What are you guys doing in Australia?
It's our honeymoon, so
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That's awesome.
I appreciate that.
We went on a cruise for our honeymoon, not Australia. I'm jealous.
Dad has a timeshare, so
Nice. That's going to be fun. Well, yeah, just like I said, if whatever you guys need from me, I'm open book and happy to work through this as we kind of figure everything out.
yeah. No, I appreciate the time.
Yeah. Cool. So, Brittany, do you want to like just keep me in the loop, I guess, and give me I'm sure you guys will talk after we finish up and all that good stuff, and then we can just go from there.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, Harry, that you would want to talk to your wife and stuff. So I'll give you, like a day or two, and we'll talk again and go from there at that point.
Yeah. And, if she has questions or whatever, we need to hop back on a phone call. We can do that too.
Perfect.
Sound good?
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll definitely be staying in touch. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Bye. So there you go, guys. This is the deal that we got in Tennessee. We ended up getting this contract done during the No Fluff Challenge, and then we gave it away. Sean McCrory was one of our winners. This is a deal that we're going to be doing what's called a wraparound mortgage on, selling it to an end homestead buyer, and it's going to cash flow somewhere in the neighborhood about $650 a month on a small little house in Memphis, Tennessee. So if you want to see more content just like this on the channel, please comment below this video what you like the most about the call recording, what you're going to take and start implementing on your calls, and then more importantly, if you guys haven't subscribed, please, I hope you consider doing so. It really helps the channel and it helps more than you know. So again, thank you so much for watching this video. We'll see you next time. Bye.